Hey guys, welcome back to Team 6K. This is Undead, and this is essentially just a follow-up video to the last video that we put up, the Salamangreat Advanced Guide. That video went to like 40 minutes or something. I just wanted to have a little bit of a replay video here just to show examples of real gameplay, just to put into context the things that I described in that video. If you want to know how to play Salamangreats and you haven't watched that last video, be sure to go check that video out. It is definitely a lengthy one, but feel free to skip to the parts of the video that are relevant to you. But yeah, let's just get into the gameplay, shall we? Alright, so we're going first here, and our opponent is playing a ritual deck. Of course, they're playing Ritual Cage. Our hand looks good, of course, because we do have the circle and we do have the mirror. And not only do we have the circle, but we have the mining. If you watched the last video, or if you just happen to know Salamangreats already, then you know that having a circle and mining in your hand is an incredibly good hand. So we're going to use circle to search for the Foxy. Searching for Foxy here because it's something that's really good to discard off of the mining. We're going to be able to revive it to destroy his Ritual Cage. So yeah, just going to discard that mining right away, grab ourselves a Gazelle. Gazelle is going to trigger immediately to summon itself and send what we always send, which is a Jaguar. Going to link it off into our link 1. Link 1's going to search for our field spell, then we're going to activate our field spell, activate our Foxy, discarding this dude. Didn't matter what this dude was, but yeah, we're just going to destroy that back row. Link 2, turn our link 2 to another link 2. We can go into Jaguar, add back our circle. This is the same generic thing that we're always going to be doing every time. If you saw the last video, this is what we do pretty much consistently every game. This happens to be, you know, pretty nice because we were able to easily get rid of the Ritual Cage, which is pretty nice. But yeah, they're going to be playing Vendreads here because of the Hound Horde. They're going to have a quick effect banish a back row, which, you know, if they use that nice, then it's going to be kind of big. But because we're our back row, like which back row is he going to get rid of that we're going to care that deeply about, right? MST, he doesn't have back row. Circle, we can just chain it, you know what I mean? Field spell, we don't need it. So yeah, we're gonna protect this guy with the Bailings so that we can use it next turn for the OTK. So essentially, even though he used his Battle Lord to turn off our ability to use monster effects, right? The Bailings is not an activated monster effect, it is a continuous effect that you can choose to apply from the graveyard. It is a little bit of a wonky ruling, some people don't understand it, but just know that Bailings and also things like Neofusion, even the SR Vendread spell, funnily enough, they're all continuous effects in the grave, they do not activate. So if a card was preventing us from activating effects, we can still use it. But yeah, we're going to use the circle on end phase as we always do, search a foul as I usually do. He's going to banish the MST on my side of the field, but it doesn't matter to me. Yeah, going into Unicorn, of course, it's GG from here. Very easy. I'm just going to keep comboing off just in case he's got some kind of a hand trap to keep himself alive. Going into the other Sunlight Wolf with another Bailings to keep myself protected. Alright, so this guy is playing with Grit here. They are playing the Magical Musketeer deck. If you aren't aware of what this deck does, their whole gimmick is essentially that they got their specific Magical Musketeer back row that they can activate from the hand as long as they control a Magical Musketeer. They can't activate it without controlling a Magical Musketeer, but you know, the monsters themselves let you activate them from the hand. So if they set a back row, it's probably not going to be a Magical Musketeer, it's probably going to be a Forbidden Lance trying to protect them. So I'm just going to get rid of that one real quick. Going to use the circle to get myself a Gazelle. Going to normal summon Foxy, activate his effect because I already have everything I need. Gonna be able to add myself a Jaguar, pretty nice. Link it off into a link 1, search my field spell. Check Gazelle. Send Falco because I already have Jaguar. Link 2, activate field spell. Link 2 again. to add back. I'm trying to activate to add back my circle here, but he's going to activate his dancing needle, which is essentially like a triple DD crow. Pretty much, I have a lot of cards in here that are worth DD crowing, so it is kind of hard to choose. So don't blame him if he banishes the wrong one. So he's going to get rid of the circle, the gazelle, and the foxy. These are all pretty good things to banish, because I cannot get my gazelle back, I cannot get my foxy back, and I have more copies of circle, but gazelle is essentially, you know, my value engine, right? And since I can't use those anymore, you would think I would be crippled, except that I'm not. I'm going to activate the mirror, discarding the Jack Jaguar to special summon itself. Jack Jaguar is going to return my link 2 to resummon itself. I'm going to Falco to return the mirror to summon itself, right? And then, since mirror was added to the hand by a card effect outside of the draw phase, I get to special summon it, activate the Tie That Binds, and it doesn't matter what he has. He has cross domination. He's going to turn this attacking monster into a 0 attack monster, so it dies, right? But this is why I attack with the lowest possible monster first. Mirror is my lowest attack monster, but Falco is the lowest attack monster that I can go in with this one. If I had gone in with a Sunlight Wolf first, it would not have been good for me, because even though I can protect it with a Balinx, I still don't have game, right? So I attack with the lowest monster first and then keep going, because I know that they have a cross domination. But yeah, he's gonna add back his dancing needle. From here I destroy his monster, going for his life points. He does have grit, but he was only going to top deck one card, and it was not going to be enough to beat me. Alright, based on the opponent, it looks like they're playing what's it called, Trickstars. Essentially just a burn deck. Gonna use the Silent Mining, discarding the Jaguar, adding the Gazelle, which will trigger Gazelle. I get to send the circle. Since I have not used the circle yet, I'll be able to add it back with my link 2. So I'm gonna go into my link 1 as my field spell. I'm gonna normal summon, right? Then I'll go into my link 2. Then I will go into my other link 2, use my same link 2. And then I can add back my circle. Then I can use my Jack Jaguar, return my first link 2, add back the Gazelle, set 2, and pass. They're doing alright. I was wrong when I thought that they were going to play Trickstars. Instead, they are playing Fire Kings. But at the same time, using the opponent's character to determine what deck they're playing is definitely a good thing you should get into the habit of. Of course, I don't know that he's going to be playing Fire Kings based on whatever character he's playing. But you know, it's good to have an idea just in case, get all of the valid information as possible. Even if the information is wrong, at least you're thinking about things. But yeah, he's going to get a freaking fantastic Agnimizid off. He's going to be able to banish my Balinx so I don't have destruction protection. And he gets to have his Garunix revived by his Arvada. Sunlight, he does, however, revive it to my Sunlight Wolf zone, so I get to add back my Jack Jaguar. He should have summoned it here. But yeah, he's going to destroy both my monsters. I'm going to MSD his one back row. I'm going to search for a Foxy here, and on his end phase, the Arvada will kill his Garunix, right? And then on my standby phase, that Garunix will activate to resummon itself, destroying his Agnimizid. And from here, I'm thinking, you just destroyed my board, but now look at you. You've got one card in hand and one monster on the field that doesn't do anything. It's going to be very easy to just go for game here. So I'm just going to flex on him. So as you can see, Salamangreats, regardless of what kind of board breaking the opponent has, they're just generally speaking good at surviving. You know what I mean? So if you can just get to that follow-up play, it's not going to be that hard to break the opponent's board. So I'm going against Blue Angel again, so I do believe that they are playing Trickstars, especially because they do have the whole Trickstar playmat, whatever, you know what I mean. Last game, right, I thought the same thing, but, you know, I could be wrong again, but it is at least good to have these things in mind. But yeah, anyway, I don't have any way to have a Gazelle in my hand, and, you know, you might think that that's not that great of a thing, but I do have Jack, Jaguar, and Fowl here. So I'm going to normal summon the Jaguar, special summon the Fowl, turn the Jaguar into a Baylink, search the field spell. Turn these two into a Link 2. Turn the Link 2 into another copy of itself. And I'm going to be able to use the Jack Jaguar to return, always return the Sunlight Wolf, the first Sunlight Wolf, so you can never follow up. I'm going to return, get the Jack Jaguar on the field, and add back my Fowl, set my MST. And even though I didn't have a circle, even though I didn't have a Gazelle, I was able to set up a pretty protective field here. And you know, this is just something that you can do in Salamangreats. If you have a bad hand, it is not the end of the world in Salamangreats. A bad hand in Salamangreats essentially equates to you don't have Gazelle. You don't have Gazelle, that is a bad hand. But it is not the end of the world, as you just seen here. And also, if you might have seen my last video, I have a couple of combo tutorials you can do if you do have a bad hand like this. An MST, my MST, classic. He's just going to be doing his Trickstar stuff. I'm not that stressed though, because Trickstars don't inherently have any removal. He's going to burn me for a bunch though. Foxglove's Witch is kind of cool. So even though it doesn't look like it does anything, right, it does burn me for a little bit, you know, but if it itself is destroyed, it gets to float into the extra deck, and that's pretty nice. But I'm not going to destroy it, I'm going to bounce it into the deck. Thankfully for me, I got myself a Signet Mining, so I can get my Lighty Debug, get my Gazelle, and I am off to the races. Now I have my Gazelle, it's pretty much over. I'm flexing at this point. This is when I had Abyss Dweller in my deck. I don't have it in my current list. As you can see, it's not going to be useful here. If the opponent did somehow have a way to disrupt me, the Abyss Dweller would have prevented the Foxglove from floating. So that's kind of nice, but I wasn't planning on destroying it in the first place, right? I was going to go into Unicorn. Easily just bounce away the Foxglove and just go for game, right? Ties the bind for the flex, even though it's lethal. Yeah. This is from a hand that didn't have Gazelle in it. Like I said in the last clip, looking at your opponent's character to determine what kind of deck they're playing is very important. And this clip might be the best example of that. So the opponent's playing a Kiza Azinski, which is famous for playing synchros, so I'm definitely going to be going for my anti-synchro play here. So I'm going to go for Circle, search for Foul, normal summon Debug, get myself a Mirror, Mirror will special summon itself, and then that will trigger the Foul to summon itself, link off the Mirror into a Link 1, that will trigger the Gazelle and search for my field spell. Gazelle will send my copy of Jack Jaguar. I can already go for a Link 4 here, but I want to go for my Link plays first. Activate the Sanctuary, get my second copy of Sunlight Wolf, then activate Jack Jaguar in the graveyard, returning the first Link monster as always, returning my Gazelle, and then I'm going to use my Debug and my Jack Jaguar as Xyz material, right? Because if I'm going to use any two monsters, I would prefer to use these two. If I was going to use both of these, then I would have 1700 attack instead of 1800 attack. It's not that relevant, but it's relevant enough to pick the Debug. I also always want to pick the Jack Jaguar because I will have a zone open for my Gazelle to summon to that will also be able to potentially get me back something from the graveyard. But yeah, going into Roach, set into back row, I have full play. They are in fact playing Rose Dragon, so I was right with my prediction just by looking at their character. They have full combo here. Just keeping in mind that if this is Mech Knights, or Infernoids, the Roach would be able to negate those summons as well. By the way, they summon to my Sunlight Wolf zone, and that allows me to add back the mirror. And if I add back the mirror off of the effect of Sunlight Wolf, I won't be able to trigger off its effect, because Sunlight Wolf, if it adds something back to a hand with its effect, you can't summon something with the same name for the rest of the turn. So I'm just adding back the mirror as a card advantage piece. But yeah, they're gonna go for a level 11 synchro. That's a lot of resources just to get negated by Roach. Trishula would have banished 3 cards on my field, but Roach negates it, so therefore it wasn't synchro summoned in the first place. But yeah, the Gazelle is going to trigger because I detached a Jaguar for the Roach, and since a Salamangreat is sent to the graveyard, even as Xyz material, it allowed me to trigger the Gazelle. And if they hadn't summoned something to this zone, I would have also been able to add something back, like that said Jaguar. And since they see that I have everything, they just scoop it up. Yeah, man, I just wanted to show off some more context when it came to this deck, because, you know, there are certain things that you can't just get from being told what to do. Sometimes you need to see it in action to know what's going on. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, like the video, subscribe if you're new around here, and we'll see you next time.